If you're looking to get your first real estate wholesale deal done from the comforts of your home in any state of your choice, make sure you watch this video all the way to the end because you don't want to miss any of the information that I'm getting ready to give to you. Let's get into the video. All right, so now when you're first getting started, you need to be able to identify the market sizes that you're trying to wholesale in. Now, you're going to have three different market sizes. You're going to have a small size market, which will be 0 to 100,000 in population. You have a medium size market, which will be 100,000 to 300,000 in population, and then you have a large size market which will be 300,000 plus in population. And I know you're probably like, well, how do I decide which market that I should go in? If your market that you currently live in is a large market, wholesale in that market, because eventually once you start generating revenue, you're going to want to pick up rental properties, and of course you can pick up rental properties in your larger size market way easier than trying to get one in a virtual market. But since you know being in a larger market may be more competitive because you may have 800,000 plus people that live in that area, so more wholesalers may be trying to wholesale in that area, you would definitely want to have a secondary market that you want to go in. So let's say if you live in Dallas, Texas that has a large population, but an hour outside of Dallas there's a city that has 200,000 in population, that will be a mid-sized market. And sometimes you may have a situation where investors that live in Dallas would be willing to travel 30 minutes to an hour outside of Dallas in order to flip a home in that particular area. So don't rule out the mid-sized to smaller size markets, because you can even go into a market where it's only 50,000 in population, but if it's right on the outside of a large market, then you're pretty much in a gold mine, and you should definitely use that as secondary and third markets. But make sure that you do wholesale in your local market, even if it's a larger size market, because you know that cash buyers are there. And also, the only reason I would not recommend wholesaling in your local market if it's only 12,000 people that live there, or if it's 20,000 people that live there. Now, by all means, like I said, if it's right outside of a large market and there are flippers in that particular area, go for it. But 9 times out of 10, you won't have enough data to really generate deals every single month in a very small market. So I know you're probably like, well, how can I tell what the largest city or the smallest city in my state will be? I don't know how to do that. I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. Let's say you live in California. All you have to do is go to Google and type in californiademographics.com/cities by population. And as you can see, I put the website here, and all you got to do, whatever state that you're in, if you're in Texas, if you're in North Carolina, all you got to do is switch out the state name and put your state name in that place. And once you get to that website, it's going to pull up all the cities in your state, and it's going to arrange it from largest to smallest, and you will see what your large size markets are, and they'll show you what your mid-size markets are, and even your small size market. And then you can pick whatever market you want to start in from there. Now, whenever it comes down to picking the secondary and third markets that you want to go in, don't let it be any type of attachment just because you love the area. Like, only thing we here to do is try to solve sellers' problems in whatever city that you're looking to go in, and it shouldn't be any emotional attachments to any city. Let the data that you collect tell you what city you need to go in. Now, I know you're probably like, well, how can I get the data to actually get started now? Because you can't go to all these different courthouses in these areas unless you get a plane ticket and you fly out, then yeah, but it's going to be expensive. So how would I get my data? What you would need to do is find you a list provider. There's so many different ones out here. What I currently use is PropStream, and the reason why I use PropStream because it's only $99 a month, and they give you 10,000 records per month. If you want to skip trace inside of PropStream, you can also do that. And the first 7 days is free. So please take advantage of that. Even if you don't decide to keep it after the 7 days, just give it a shot to see if it could be useful in your business. But I know when you're going virtual, it's going to be very, very important to have a nationwide list provider. That's one option that you will have, and that's the option that I chose. But there's also other options such as batch leads, or you can use a list broker, or if you want to go the extra mile, which will take more time, you can hire someone someone in the potential city that you're trying to wholesale in to go up and get courthouse data for you. But at that point, I feel like you'll just be wasting money and time, where you can be in the market in under 15 minutes just by using a software such as PropStream to pull your data. So definitely feel free to check those different softwares out. And if you want to use a list broker that has nationwide lists, definitely feel free to go that route as well too. Now, the next step that's very important whenever you virtually wholesaling is skip tracing. So let's say you're planning on skip tracing 3,000 to 4,000 of the 10,000 records that you pull. The skip tracing service that I use is Bat Skip Tracing. Feel free to check it out below, and also feel free to check out PropStream below as well too. I have it in the description. But you will spend 15 cents per record when you skip trace with Bat Skip Tracing. But I've definitely been getting the best results with Bat Skip Tracing over the past couple of years, so feel free to check them out. But you also have other options as well too. You have Skip Genie, you have PropStream. PropStream has their own skip tracing, like I mentioned before. But my number one skip tracing service that I use is Bat Skip Tracing, so feel free to check them out. Now, after you skip trace your data, it's time to start marketing to your data. Now, you have a lot of different options when it comes down to marketing to your data. My recommendation is to use the cheapest forms of marketing that you possibly can. You have some people that get started and they run straight to Google ads, they run straight to Facebook ads. That could be the biggest mistake that you make, because you got to be comfortable with the learning curve that it takes to run an ad properly in order for you to get a deal. But with cold calling, sending text messages, and ringless voicemails, all you're doing is creating a message and you sending it out in all three cases. Now, with cold call, of course, you got to do that one by one, or if you're using a dialer, that's going to speed up the process a little bit, because it's going to dial 3 people or 4 or 5 people at once. But those are going to be your cheapest forms of marketing. You can send ringless voicemails for 0.0085 cents. You can send text messages for 0.0075 cents. And you can cold call inside of this same software that I'm getting ready to mention as well too, for $49 per month. And the software that I'm talking about is REI Reply. Feel free to check them out below, but it is a game changer, because you can send a mass amount of text messages and ringless voicemails for a small amount of cash every single month. Now, I do use a dialer outside of REI Reply whenever it comes down to making calls, but feel free to use REI Reply dialer if you want to. But I use Call Tools for my dialer because it's $99 a month, and you can make as much calls as you possibly can for that same $99. Now, you do have to pay for the phone numbers separately, and so you may want to tack on another $30 to $40 just for phone numbers, so you can keep rotating your numbers out and they don't get marked as spam, which they still may, but it gives you a better chance of not being marked as spam. But those are the options that I would choose whenever you're marketing to your sellers, even when you're just getting started. And with those softwares that I mentioned, you're really not spending a lot of money in order to start marketing to your sellers. Now, after you start marketing to your sellers using ringless voicemails, SMS, and cold calling, you're going to start getting responses from sellers. The different responses that you may get is not interested, make me an offer, you have the wrong number, the property is sold, how did you get this number, not at this time, I want to sell in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And guess what? You're going to handle all those responses differently. Now, the most important response is make me an offer. If you got a seller that is saying make me an offer, they want to sell their property. So of course, you need to pick up the phone and get on the phone with that particular seller so you can collect all the necessary information that's needed in order for you to get the property under contract at the right price. Now, another very important response that you need to pay attention to is if the seller says not at this time or in 30, 60, 90 days. That's where your money is going to come from in 30 to 60 to 90 days. So you may be closing one deal at this point in time, but if you have 10 to 20 sellers that say, hey, I want to sell in 30 to 60 to 90 days, you may have 2 sellers that want to sell in 60 days, so you close 2 deals. Or you may have 4 sellers that want to sell in 90 days after you first spoke with them, which you will close 4 deals. So follow-up is very important, because that's what 80% of your deal is going to come from, and that's how you fill up your pipeline over time. Now, let's get back to the seller that says, make me an offer on my property. So, of course, once you gather all the necessary information and you build rapport with the seller, because you shouldn't be making offers until you build rapport with your seller, it's time to use the 70% rule. So let's say we determine that the after repair value on this particular property is $100,000. We're going to use the 70% rule for this. So we multiply the ARV by 70%, which would give us 70,000. And let's say that the seller says, hey, you need to go in and repair the floors. You need to update the bathrooms, update the kitchen, put in new appliances and everything. And we determined that the repairs would be around $30,000. Only thing that we would do is subtract the 30,000 from the 70,000, and we'll be able to sell that particular property to an end buyer for $40,000. Now, of course, we're not going to start at $40,000 because we're going to have to make some money out of this deal too. So since we can sell it to an end buyer at $40,000, we got to be great negotiators and get the property under contract even lower than that. So let's say we want to make a $10,000 assignment. We're going to subtract $10,000 from the $40,000, so our max allowable offer would be $30,000 to the seller. We still don't want to start at that number because we need room for negotiation. So what I would say to do is subtract 20% from your max allowable offer, and that'll be your initial starting offer, which will be $24,000. So you will start at $24,000 and you can negotiate up to $30,000 with the seller. And anything lower than that, it's going to start cutting into that wholesale fee. So you can agree to $35,000, but then you will only walk away with $5,000 at closing. But it's completely up to you. Now, I know we talked about cold calling a little bit earlier, and it's very important in your business. So if you want to see a video on my cold calling setup, definitely feel free to check out my video here, because it'll break down my setup for cold calling, and it'll make cold calling much easier for you. Now, once you come up with your offer using the 70% rule, it's time to give the seller your offer. So like I said, you will start at the $24,000 and negotiate up to the $30,000 max allowable offer. Now, if the seller doesn't accept any of them, of course, like I said, create a follow-up. Especially if you know the seller say, hey, I want to sell in the next 2 weeks. You're going to put them in a follow-up that follow up with the seller frequently to make sure that you stay in front of them. Most likely, you should be reaching out to them by phone anyway instead of sending text messages in order to get the deal locked up as soon as possible. But if the seller says, yes, I would accept your offer of $30,000, it's time to go to the next step, which is finding a real estate attorney or a title company in order to send over your AB agreement. So you will send over your AB agreement to your real estate attorney, and they will open escrow, and then they will start the title search to see if there's anything that could threaten the equity in the property, that if it transfer over to you, guess what? You're going to take ownership of that debt. So that's the reason you would want to use a real estate attorney title company. And while the title search is going on, of course, the next step is finding a cash buyer. So basically, it's going to be a little bit different from doing it locally. You can use PropStream to find your cash buyers. You can JV with somebody in that particular market that you know has cash buyers, or you can get realtors that have cash buyers that are looking for deals currently. There's so many different options when it comes down to virtually wholesaling. But if you do choose to find your own cash buyer, you will need to use an app such as Thumbtack to where you can get somebody in the property to get the photos for you. Or if you built enough rapport with the seller, you could potentially get the seller to go in and take all the pictures you need for free. Or you can pay the seller $30, whatever you want to do. But if you're not comfortable with doing that, just hire somebody off of Thumbtack that you can pay $100 so you can get the photos. And once you build that cash buyers list around that particular property, then you send out the pictures to the cash buyers, see if they are interested in the property. Or if you have a JV partner, or if you built enough rapport with the seller, you can actually have an open house in place with the seller being there. You can just let them know, hey, I have some of my finance partners coming in, or I have some inspectors coming in to look at the property for me to see exactly what the repair costs will actually be. And that will take care of that. And you can have everybody put their bid in at a certain time. And guess what? Whoever puts in the highest bid, you send over your BC agreement, get them to sign, tell them, hey, you got such and such time to put in your non-refundable deposit to the title company or real estate attorney. And then guess what? You just waiting on the closing date, and you're waiting on your $10,000. And congratulations, you have your first deal. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.